Hello, everyone. This is Brooklynn Monroe, fashion designer and owner of Brooke Collection. And today we're going to be talking about branding 101 with Making a Brand. Here I have Peter Paul Scott, who has an extensive fashion history. How you doing today, Peter?
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Awesome. All right, so let's start with a very important question. Can you name two of your mentors and why?
Yes, definitely. Let's name the two and then I'll break it down.
Okay.
So there's Guy Vickers, and for Guy Vickers is a gentleman named Chris Christmas, out of Denver, Colorado. And I'll break that down. Now with Guy Vickers, he's currently the head of corporate foundation for PVH. And prior to that, he was the head of the Tommy Hilfiger corporate foundation. I was in marketing at the time when we met, and I was so intrigued by the works that he was doing or wanted to do. I joined his team and joined the foundation as the community affairs director to then do integrations with schools in need and and young kids, and working with helping to be instrumental in create curriculums to help these young kids who were kind of in need of arts and programming and things that we were losing in New York. So did a lot of work with Guy Vickers. He gave me a lot of insight, and it just kind of broadened my horizon. I was big into marketing. I think I'd done all I could do there, and then I said, hey, I want to kind of diversify.
Yeah.
And then with Chris Christmas, it's a crazy story. I'm in New York City. I'm the it socialite kid. I'm a dancer. I'm in every club. I'm hitting the dance floors. Everybody's like, dude, you about to, blow up and be this model, this, that, and the third. I signed with Boss and Ford, and I'm modeling for Donna Karan, first DKNY campaign. That's all over the city. And he comes and goes, you could do more.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? He's a designer out of Colorado, first African-American to get a MBA license, and mixes his clothing it's called 2Hype. This is 93, and mixes the actual sports with kente cloth. And it's the first thing I'd ever seen. Pre-Spike Lee, who kind of bit his stuff, I ain't gonna lie. They knew each other, and he kind of bit it to do his brand with Jordan. But those two gentlemen were kind of the Chris in the beginning giving me insight that I could do more and be part of a bigger, conglomerate with a company. And this is pre-Tommy. And he actually hired me as his marketing guy. Didn't even know what I was doing. He was just like, dude, you know a ton of people. Get these clothes on these people, bro. Let's go. And I would do all these activations with him, which actually, got me tuned up. When I was approaching Tommy, by that time, I actually knew what I was doing, in regards to what I was going to do next.
All right. And so tell us about your history in streetwear fashion.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I think people look at me and really, I guess give me the credit in regards to like one of the first or one of the founders of, I guess acknowledging streetwear. Before it was just like clothing. It was just a brand like Fila or Coca-Cola or United Benetton and blah blah. It was like they were just brands. But then we would be immersed in them, and we would take them and style ourselves and give it a whole different flavor and flip it. I mean, the saying in hip hop is we take things and we take it and flip it and recreate it and bring it back.
Okay.
And next thing you know, it's something else. So I think because I was immersed in hip hop at the time and with fashion, I was one of the few kids that, would hit the dance floor and say to himself, look, I got to look the part and dance the part.
Yeah.
Right. So my whole concept was, if I get in the circle, I want to be seen, one, for the ladies, two, just in general, you would get a gig literally off of getting busy in a circle.
Yep, based on how you look.
Next thing you know, you in a video, you this, that, and the other. So I was a standout cat. I was tall, this, that, and the other. But I thought if I put my whole look together from head to toe, that I'd be that guy. And it actually worked out. I mean, people would really recognize me for that. So by the time I met Tommy, I was already putting and stylizing and organizing, in a way that he hadn't seen it before. And you hit the clubs and you do it the way we do it. it's prep mixed with hip hop, mixed with this, mixed with that, and it was a whole different style. So I think because I came as an original cat, and I originated my style, and I came up, with like pre-low lives and clubs like Union Square, Latin Quarters, Funhouse, this, that, and the other as a little kid, and seeing all this, I knew style, and then I was able to take it and translate that into the brands that I started to work for. And that was literally going from dancing to runway to then, choreographing all of the fashion shows, styling them in the show, styling the people in the show, putting all the clothing together. So I think that kind of gives me an edge on a lot of people because I did everything from day one. I was immersed in the culture. I didn't, I was birthed in it, but then I kind of took that and brought it to, corporate America.
How important is it that we archive the history of streetwear fashion, including acknowledging the pioneers?
Well, I think more so now we should be acknowledging streetwear for its prowess. If you look at all these luxe brands like, LVMH and Gucci and, them taking a page out of our book and now crediting themselves for making all of this money utilizing, this casual wear, this, sweatsuit, sweatpant. I mean, look what I got on now. It's like, it's got, a pleat in it. It's got this. It's got permanent crease. Blah blah blah. But these Adidas pants.
Yeah.
It's like street casual, right? Mm-hmm. But I think we created that style.
Yeah.
And based on that, they've taken our influences, and now you're seeing it full-fledged on every runway in Paris and London, this, that, and the third. And I think people need to recognize that came from where it came from. Mm-hmm. And that's us. But when you look at Dapper Dan and, he gets his credit, but I think it still needs to be, explored more and understanding, the whole breakdown of why you're seeing what you're seeing. I mean, it's changed all the way up. I mean, from what they were doing in the 90s in Luxwear to what they're doing now, totally different game, but that's us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Many designers consider branding one of the final pieces to the puzzle. But how have you convinced your clients to make this one of the first?
It's interesting, right? Like, it wasn't easy when I was doing it because not everybody was doing that. I mean, the brands that were, when I approached Tommy, it was Calvin Klein, it was Donna Karan, it was Ralph Lauren. There was just a handful of brands, but I think when I came in, I saw something in what I was doing, and I said, hey, imagine if a brand embraced the concept. So, the concept of utilizing and leveraging hip hop in its space and its originality, and utilizing that within marketing and branding, that could take it to the next level. And not everybody was doing that. I mean, Calvin tried it with that little Marky Mark ad up in the thing, but that didn't relate to us, man. We were like, that's a little weird.
Yeah.
A little underwear tight. That's a Calvin. Yeah. That's a Calvin thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to see dude in that. I'm good. You know what I mean? But I think when Tommy, I approached him, I said, hey, look, Donna's not doing it. They tried it when I was there, and they put me in a hockey jersey and this, that, and the other, but she was just still all about New York and just grabbing little pieces of New York. Mm-hmm. But I was like, if we flush it all the way out and really leverage it out, we could have a whole nother, I guess, lane. And that's what happened. So I came into the game. Tommy listened, perfect timing. He was like, what are you talking about? I actually took, one of the ideas. I said, hey, I got a group called Tribe Called Quest. They're shooting for the cover of Source. You mind if I take the clothing down there and go dress me? He goes, all right, do your thing. I mean, I'm showing up with garbage bags like I got kicked out of my house to the shoot. I'm laying everything on the floor. I don't have racks, hangers, and Tip, Fife, Ali Shahi Muhammad were like, yo, I want this, boom, boom, boom. Next thing you know, everybody was styling, boom, boom, boom. And I got the cover of Source. I came back to Tommy. I was like, look, this is what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Here's the proof of what I'm talking about. He was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Can you do it again? I was like, oh, okay. And Andy happened to be in conversations with Snoop at the time. And by the time, Snoop was coming to New York and doing Saturday Night Live, they had talked enough where he's convinced that he wanted to wear a rugby for his performance, and it's legendary. It's one of the most legendary, within the timeline of Tommy. It's probably one of the most legendary moments. So what happens is, I literally have to take Snoop, go hang out with him, take him to go play ball. We're keeping him engaged while he's in New York. We're styling him. Andy gets him to wear the rugby. Next day, the whole thing sells out.
Wow.
Literally, what he wore, Tommy gets a call and respectfully was like, guys, what happened? Like, every piece is sold out. That was proof of, that's when you go, listen, men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie.
Exactly.
That was the proof that we needed, and then we were off to the races from then on. He was like, let these guys do what they got to do.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. Because as a designer, I could probably, over the years, I would probably put branding last as well. And, I'm the seamstress, so I have to create. But you're right, you do that first. And that's how you get it to the people so they can, come shop.
I mean, I think it's inspirational. I mean, imagine you're envisioning this particular person on your mood board who you see in your clothing.
Okay, there we go.
Right?
Right
At the end, and then that's how you position it. Like, who would you want to see? Who do you think would, who's the first person, if they put that on, that, you would be out of here if they saw that person in that particular clothing. I think sometimes if you approach it from that standpoint.
Yeah, okay. And a lot of people, including myself, I wouldn't have approached it from that point. But now that you said it, I have a job to do. I have some homework.
And not to take away from, your color palettes, forecasting and understanding all of the ingredients that go in with design.
Yeah.
All of those, even when we used to meet with Tommy, we literally we call it adoption. We'd have every style graphed out on the wall, taped up. And he was like, all right, guys, what do you guys think? Where we at? Who do you think would be wearing all this stuff? Are we doing it right? This, that, and the other? And we'd all get an opportunity to give our 2 cents.
Yeah.
And then we go to market. So I think all of those things, inclusive.
Yeah.
Keep it all, include all of those from A to Z.
Yeah.
And then, and then branding's got to be, because that, it's interesting. I mean, what we were doing back then to where it is now, that's the first thing they want to know.
Yeah.
Who's tied to the brand?
Yeah. Okay. Exactly.
Who's the ambassador? Who's the influencers? And that started when we got busy back in the day.
So as someone who did product placement before the term even existed,
right?
How have you seen it evolve, and is it still a viable option for new brands?
I say this, it's not as organic. Okay. That's the difference between when I was doing it. It was like, artists were super happy about super excited about being acknowledged to be part of a brand, because they were like, oh wow, you know me, you know my music, it's like it was an exchange.
Yeah.
It was like, look, we love you, I love you guys, boom. But I mean, times have changed.
Yeah.
Now it's money exchange.
Yeah.
It's monetary.
Yeah.
And I think you have to have a really, understanding. You have to have a full understanding of how to get to market, and you have to include that within your budget.
Okay.
Or partnership, or however you got to finesse that part of it. But you're not getting around the fact that you need somebody in that clothing. Whether it's just a beautiful, amazing looking model, female or male, that, obviously the icing on the cake is they have a following.
Yeah.
They're so excited about the brand that they can be your evangelist, and they can then take what you've already created and take it out there and into their community of people who are watching them. And then the turnkey is now everybody wants to buy it because of what they've seen. Mm-hmm. So whether it's model, known model, these are all the boxes you got to check. The artist that comes off like a model or feels like, they're very diverse. Because that's the other thing. A lot of artists, like when we work with Aaliyah and Beyonce, even though they were amazing singers and performers, they look great. Mm-hmm. And you could tell from the videos this and the other, so you could double up. And that's kind of how I got discovered. It was like, oh, he looks really good in the videos. When I was doing Crystal Waters and CeCe Peniston and all these things, somebody said, wow, he actually has a really good look. And then we can translate that into the brand. And I think that's the same thing with artists. You can, right off the top, you can see their personality and how it can be that next level of like, wow, if I put some amazing clothing and they got behind it and it's part of their thing. I mean, look at the Kardashians. I mean, they killing the game, Good American and, things, that Skims and, their look with the brand, their following, they're out of here the minute they hit the market.
And they're doing really good. They're marketing because they just put like knee along in their Skims and everything.
Dude, that North Face collab with Skims.
That was crazy too.
I wasn't mad.
Yeah, it was. That was fire.
I can't wear it, but I was like, all right.
Yeah, that was fire. That was actually fire. I remember seeing that. Okay, so artists have gone from endorsing brands to creating their own. How has this impacted an already crowded marketplace?
I mean, I think it's the evolution, right? We've evolved into this, market where, when you look at artists, they've included that within their range of, their boxes, right? They're like, I'm not just going to monetize off of doing my music, but think about it. We've lost money, with the streaming services and the platforms. You've heard, it being said by many of artists, I make my money on my shows. So you need another revenue stream. So why not clothing, or why not partner with some kind of product that allows you to get another check? Mm-hmm. You're not going to let any checks hit the floor. You popular, you can populate, you can influence, you can get something to the market. So that's kind of how I look at it. We did a brand with Lala Anthony. Okay. Maybe 2000, I might be dating myself, 2017, around there, right before COVID, right? 2 years. And, her popularity at that time, was really, with her show, and she had like a reality TV show, and she was, the whole Carmelo thing and blah, blah, blah. So she was at a good point where I felt like she could be somebody that if you built a brand around her, we could really do some things. Dude, lo and behold, we ended Lord & Taylor. We launched did an amazing launch. I mean, we killed it. Did 5 tour cities, blah, lines around the corner, everybody trying to buy, Sierra showing up, Mrs. Knowles trying it on, getting all these endorsements from, just people just loving the brand. The Kardashians, oh my God, I love these jeans, just sent me packages being sent out. We were doing at least $600,000 a month alone. And obviously, we had a Foot Locker deal, we had an Ashley Stewart Plus deal, and off Saks. So with all of that coming together, we were killing it. And then of course COVID comes and knocks it out. But it was proof to me that if you get with the right celebrity at the right particular time, who's believable and is really about, the people, you can do some good things. You can make some, you can make some coin, on both sides, for them and for you.
So what would you say is the biggest challenge to a designer or brand trying to establish themselves in the marketplace?
I think a lot of the brands now, it's the understanding that it takes a little bit of time.
Yeah, okay.
Right? That you're not going to make a big splash coming out the gate. Mm-hmm. It might take a couple of seasons to get, people super excited about it. I mean, you might do all of the right things. You might do all the fashion shows. You might do this, that, and the other, but you haven't hit yet.
Yeah.
But I think that's the only thing I think that's different from the young kids today coming up, is to understand that, it's a process, and you got to trust the process and stay with it. Sales might not be up, this, that, and the other, but you got to plan for that at the same time, but create an e-commerce, create something. There's got to be something in your line that you can hold it down. You got to think like that. Like, what's our, what did the consumer, what were they attracted to? What was the first thing they jumped at? What was the niche? And ride with that. I remember Tommy's son did a brand called Tango Hotel, and they launched onto to the underwear. And he was like, well, I'm not just an underwear company. I said, Rich, man, dude, the fact that you got sales and, Macy's, Bloomingdale's, and everybody's killing it on the underwear, you just gonna go up from there. Yeah. I said, don't be mad at that. I mean, that's the process. Yeah. Be glad they grabbed onto something. And that's gonna keep your lights on. If not, you make some more money with that if you expand it. And if that was the first thing they jumped on, just keep on expanding it and saying, all right, if you like that, wait till you see this.
Yeah.
But he was such in a rush to be, because his
Yeah.
father's Tommy, and he's like, dude, I want to be Tommy Hilfiger.
Yeah, like-
he's seen too much, did too much.
Mm-hmm.
But me on outside looking in, I was like, dude, I wish I had
Yeah.
that access and getting into the game that quick and somebody latching on to something. So I think that's the thing about the younger generation, is that they're a little bit more impatient.
Patient. Gosh.
And they want that, they want that star in Hollywood ASAP.
Yeah, but it takes time. Definitely takes time and dedication.
Agree.
As we know, so-called luxury brands like Gucci and LV didn't want to do anything with our culture. But we have consistently worn these brands. And now they have essentially incorporated the streetwear into their culture, or into the culture. Say about that.
It's interesting. I was just featured in a documentary that kind of talks about all of that. It's called In Vogue the 90s with Anna Wintour. You can catch it on Hulu, 6-part series. It's really good. I mean, really good information. And it talks about this particular time with Vogue, when Anna was like, she had to kind of adhere to the designers who were expanding their horizons and being more inclusive, like Vera Wang and how do you say my man Alexander McQueen?
Yeah.
Right. Alexander was the first, right? And in the doc, it dictates that he was one of the first to say, "Listen, man, I think all walks of life need to wear this clothing."
Yeah. Okay.
And Anna kind of looked at that, and they showed it on the runway, and they showed how beautiful all people look in the clothing, and he wanted to show that. And I think, it kind of, that documentary kind of shows you the evolution, and it took time. But then it comes down to this one part, right, where if you look in the magazine of Vogue, we're not there, right? We're not positioned in there until, the streetwear culture and all the, the hip hop was coming out on so strong. And there's a scene where they talk about Mary J. Blige, Little Kim, and Missy Elliott are actually being featured in the mag, but they're in the magazine. And this one guy says the most interesting thing. He's the hair and makeup guy. Or I forget whether he's hair and makeup, but he goes, they should be on the cover.
Yeah, absolutely.
I then talked to a lot of the people, the associates from Vogue, and they even said, yeah, we missed that.
Yeah.
We were behind on that. I think, it's not like I hold anything against. I just know that, with everything, man, we've had to break our way into everything. My mother being a Black Panther, this, that, and the other, was just like, you got to stand up for yours. I mean, if you're going to just sit there and just pout and just complain, then that's what it is. But, there was people like Patrick Kelly, Willie Ware, that paved the way, that went to Europe years ago and got major status. I mean, they passed away, before their time because of AIDS. And, but at the same time, you got to recognize there were people that were out there that were doing what needed to be done that paved the way for us.
Today, yeah.
Yeah, so should it have come sooner? Yeah, probably, of course, Should it, the whole story with Dapper Dan and Gucci, I love that story, Cinderella-wise. But they go raid the dude, take all the stuff, FBI, blah, blah, blah. And then they integrate all of his ideas and concepts and put them on the runway. Then we shame them and go, nah, you can't just go and, take all this stuff, shut him down, and then call him out, and then take all his ideas that he had, which were amazing, and I get the law and this, that, and the third, and he didn't have the license to carry and to do that collaborative pieces that he was doing early. But you can't then just take his pieces and then put it on the runway. And then we forced them to now give him his own line. And now he's part of Gucci. And it was one of the best collabs I've ever seen. Dapper Dan killed that. To this day, is one of the most classic pieces I've ever seen Gucci do. So now with LVMH and with, Pharrell and, prior to that, now Ralph Lauren with this, young kid from Morehouse being now the creative director. I mean, when I was at Tommy was doing that early. I went in there, Lloyd Boston was the creative director in the 90s. I was the marketing guy early. So we've gotten to the table. Now we're kind of running the table a lot now. And I think that's where the evolution is. And I'm proud of those moments in time. And I think, we should have gotten there sooner. But like all things, man, they're going to come as long as we keep fighting for it.
Exactly.
So don't just sit around pout. Go make a move.
Keep fighting. Yeah, keep
Go make
pushing.
a move. I mean, you know how we got here, man. I mean, we didn't come here on a cruise ship.
No, we sure did.
You know what I mean?
All right, so last but not least, what is the future of streetwear?
Good question. And interesting, like, a lot of people, relate to streetwear that came up when I came up. And it was almost a negative connotation, but now look at it now. It's luxe. It's it's the new, I guess, horizon of what fashion is. Everybody aspires to now have a streetwear line. I'm talking to everybody, man. So I think the future, it's endless now because, we're involved. Like, it's our whole aesthetic. And I think the silhouettes that I think if we can keep, and not overcomplicate some of these silhouettes, that we're going to be okay. Meaning these new designers, like yourself. As I'm starting to see, the one thing is, like, don't do too much, right? Okay. And I think if people, don't, not dumb it down all the way, but don't dumb it all the way up. I mean, don't go so crazy where it's like I'm putting every color,
and see.
I want to know your take on that too.
For me, that is interesting because I feel like sometimes I don't do enough, or I can feel like I don't do enough. Sometimes for me, I think with streetwear now, I do see a lot of crazy stuff, and I feel like the crazy designs where you, like you said, where you just adding colors or something is covering half of the chest or something crazy, it gets a lot of views, it gets a lot of attention. But for me, I try to, I like simple and fly. My motto is fly girl on the go. Nice. Girl that who's always on the move and that can throw on something that's just nice and keep her comfortable. And she knows that she's gonna be complimented when she goes out. And
that's what we did with Lala Anthony. We said, we did day, play, slay. You know what I mean? Like, you can wear it to work.
Exactly.
You can leave the job. You can go to the club, go to the lounge, this, that, and the other. But I think the accessories are a little over the top sometimes. And I want everybody to explore and be creative. It's just, what about longevity?
Exactly. Okay,
what's that going to be? How are you going to differentiate yourself from the next person so that you have, because it all begins with the silhouette. And you got to look at, the everyday person who wants to be able to purchase. And what do you have for them? Do you have a slack? Do you have a dress? Do you have this, that, and the other? I mean, you throw your hats and your earrings and, whatever needs to go around that to be around, but get your silhouette correct.
Correct, gosh.
And then that's the longevity. That's the why Vera Wang is still around to this day. Donna Karan is still around to this day. And I think that the shock value designers, I don't know, are they going to have a big splash now? Yeah, I get it. But are they going to be around for ages, like Ralph Lauren?
Now, when you say silhouette, speaking from a seamstress perspective, are you saying that there should be a certain pattern made, or whoever your target audience is? Like, if you are, targeting for me, the working woman who's always on the move. So are we talking about size? Like, all right, I'm going to go for normally a woman that wears a dress in a 2 or a 0 to 2. Are you speaking of like the sizing of silhouette? Or can you just like go into more detail as far as the silhouette?
So, I guess, from my perspective, I think the way I generalize the silhouette is that I think it's the simplicity of how you start from scratch, right?
Okay.
It's like, whether it's a denim, a slack, a dress, start with an original pattern and then start to
be
build
creative and build on that, and
right,
take away, you know,
right,
put,
right.
Okay, gotcha.
But normalize the silhouette, you know, and to scope the body of who your demo is, you know, and don't just go after whatever's trending per se.
Okay.
I'm not saying you can't add a piece here, this, that, and the other within the line, but the core of the line, make sure you're covering your demographic, who's that everyday person who needs to go from or
keep it simple
to lounge to that. I mean, you're gonna have more longevity doing that versus the, you know, big giant earmuffs.
Okay, yeah, okay.
That have 50 million colors in it. That, you know, I mean, if you look at even, you know, LVMH and what Pharrell's doing, it's like he's taking the classics and just giving it a twist. You know, adding more, you know, patterns and this, that, and the other. But the actual silhouette is what it is. You know, it starts with the basic, and then you build out. But, you know, people are coming in the opposite way, I think. If that makes sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. I try my best to, you know, keep it kind of like simple. But like I said, but fly. Like, I want longevity. That's my goal. I want, and like you said, I want you to be able to wear. I think we're in a time where, especially when you're saying like all these crazy accessory stuff, people feel like they can't wear something twice or like wear it again to this place, or, you know, I can go to the club in this, and I can go, I could potentially go to church in this dress. Like, you should be able to do multiple things.
Right.
In whatever fashion that you're buying. You should be able to rock it and feel good at it every single time.
Smart approach.
Yeah.
So like for your up and coming fashion show that you're having for New York Fashion Week, what's your plan for, like, you know, your runway? What's your theme? What's your concept?
So my concept, I have this theme called the Fashion Museum. And what I do is, what I will have done is I'll have each model on their own stage or on their own pedestal.
Right.
So it's like a live art museum, but it's just my fashion designs. And I like to say that the models are live mannequins because they'll be alive. They'll have my designs on, and people will be able to go and just kind of walk around and really look at the designs, and just look at it on the person in different kind of silhouette.
Gotcha.
So yeah, for me in this show, I mean, the concept, like I said, is really just to get people to see what I do.
Gotcha.
Because I'm new here in Brooklyn. So yeah, the fun part is you walk around. You don't have to feel like, okay, this is the runway show, I gotta sit down, I gotta wait for the show.
Right.
No, I will have 3 walks. Models will be able to walk. So I break it up like a 10-minute show where they come off their pedestal and they're able to walk, so you can see the movement of the garment.
I was gonna say,
but
so 3 things I always look at. There's an entertainment value.
Okay.
No matter what, we're entertaining.
Yeah,
absolutely. Even though we're showcasing, and sometimes, you know, designers, we can get, and I'm not a designer, but I'm around all designers I work with. They get in a bubble and they get so focused on what the clothing, because that's the most important thing.
Yes.
What the outcome of this clothing is going to look like. So when it's on the pedestal, once you get to that point, I would say, as advice, because I've done this, right? I've done the pedestal, I've done the light ups on the boxes, this, that, and the other. From an entertainment value, make sure you got your music right. Not say you weren't gonna, but also knowing who we are, right? The advantage of us and what we do is we actually know how to vibe.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So bring that too into the mix. That's the thing I've always done with any of the brands that I've worked with, is I've always said, you know, what's the lifestyle branding aspect of and the vibe of the brand that gives it the, I feel that, you know, that's me. I can relate to that. So the relatability is, one, the music, your models, you know, really good relatable models. Make sure they can move, right? Even when they walk, it's not about dancing and showing and going crazy and voguing and stuff, but they have fluidity.
Yeah.
And that when you exchange them off the boxes, there's like some kind of, like, you know, geometric kind of movement that, you know, differentiates, and it's like, oh wow, that was different. I was entertained while seeing the clothing, given enough time. So it's like, check every box. And I'm always looking for, like, what's that one more thing I can do that differentiates me from everybody else? You know, there's one designer I wanted to name that when he does his shows, it's a brother too. He's one of the top designers right now. and his shows are just electric. Like, you come for the show.
Wow.
You know, the clothing, it's a given. His clothing's gonna be amazing, and but then his runway show with the music, with the lighting, it's all this. It's this moment, right? And you're like, I was so glad I was there.
Wow.
So, you know, if I can give you anything that I've ever been a part of, from my dancing, my videos, my performances, modeling, being on stage, choreographing, this, that, and the other, understanding that I bring intentionally all that into whatever it is I'm doing or working on. You know, and I'm currently working on a collaboration right now with a brand, and we're like mood boarding, this, that, and the other, and I'm always challenge myself to differentiate. So when you come out of the design phase and every piece and every this, that, and the other, get into that other entertainment size phase, that's the one thing I think we can overindulge on and kind of over deliver, right? Because we got that. We come from that. We come from, cookouts. We come from the family gatherings, we come from, we know how to party. We know how to have a good time.
Exactly.
So make sure people have a good time when they
Absolutely. I will have complimentary wine and drinks, and then I'll have like some sweet treats there. But that is what it is about. I will have great music, and I had just made a video about it. It was crazy because I gave everyone 3 reasons why they should come to my show.
Nice.
And I definitely said vibe. And I'm all about, positive energy and networking as well. And I feel like I'll have some great fashion creators there. So that's another thing too. Like, let's come out, let's meet each other. You never know who you can meet that can help you on your journey,
right,
just as well as I'm meeting people that are helping me on my journey.
Right.
And
you want to make sure when you get people to come out, you give them a reason. Like, you could have been anywhere else. Well, I made sure you had a great time while you were
here. Absolutely. And that's my number one goal. So that's kind of why I have it open. I didn't want to go into, because this is my first fashion week, I didn't want it to just be runway show. Everybody be here at this time,
right,
sit down, watch the show, look at my clothes. I kind of wanted it to be, like you said, a vibe. We all getting together as a community. You can see the designs. You're already like, wow, look at the models. They're live mannequins. They'll hit the runway. And then it's kind of like, if you have a good time, you're going to stay. Like, you're going to stay from 1 to 5 p.m. But you still have the option to come, catch a vibe, leave and be like, yeah, dang, that was nice, So I just wanted to have that open door for this fashion week.
Well, looking forward to, seeing your show. And one thing I find interesting about fashion shows too, and I guess, I always tell everybody I'm cheating on them, is because, my first runway was being on the dance floor.
Okay.
Right. And I think that's why I was actually able to even transition into modeling, because I was in front of the camera, I was on the dance floor, I knew how to entertain. And as dancers, that was our biggest thing, was like, we had to get a circle and we had to, basically show our ass. And in a positive way. I didn't twerk or nothing.
No. Trust me, we know that was not happening back in the day.
Yeah, some spinning and all that.
Okay.
That was it. But that was the first runways for a lot of people.
So it was dance.
That, and if you really look at it, voguing.
Oh, okay, voguing.
Right?
There we go.
Which they took from the runway, but then, overemphasized the movements and then took it up one more notch.
Yeah.
And then the models took cues from that. And then you got another level of entertainment on the runway, right? So, something to think about, from my past to what, I'm starting to see now. So some cues, you might want to look at. Check out some old Wrecking Shop Live in Brooklyn documentaries. And which is interesting, I'm now embarking on a documentary I've been trying to put together for years that kind of encompasses all of dance, right? From what you're seeing now, from TikTok to YouTube, to why and where it came from, because they consider us the first influencers, right? Us coming from our generation. So, you got the breakers. Breaking started to get kind of like, I don't know, it got too popular. We got you had the Burger King guy with a crown on doing windmills. Got a little crazy. So then hip hop dance started, and a lot of people were like, what's hip hop dance? And when people started rapping and saying, hey, I do the Cabbage Patch, do the Running Man, do the Pee Wee Herman, do the WAP, we reacted to that. We were the first guys with my guy, Buddha Stretch, who actually created, he knew how to do counts. And, he was the only guy. We were like, yo, where'd you go, Alvin? We used to tease him all the time. But he knew how to do these counts, and we created these counts to these dances that were being called out, and we put them all together. And then we were known as the guys the hip hop dancers, right? And that's how it elevated to where it elevated. But I think that, with this documentary that I'm putting together now, I'm going to talk about all facets from dance to fashion, to, how it all coincides, because I come from all that, to the evolution of, where it's going, to where it came from, to who was inspired subculturally, to Europe, to South America, and why it's just, worldwide. So that's one of the projects I'm working on now as I'm, rounding off my career. It's like I'm turning into Fab Five Freddy. It's telling my story, right? And I have so many hats, but I'm gonna try to encompass it under this one documentary about all of my crew, and just, from house to hip hop to Chicago to New York to LA to Soul Train to you name it, Apollo. And these are all the stages I hit, with me and my crew. Like, we literally, from doing, my boy doing Michael Jackson video, to us doing Mariah Carey, Dream Lover, to, it's going to tell you how it all started and how we made all of these artists look amazing, right? And I know people are going to be looking at me like, what do you mean? They look great. No, they put us around them.
So they can look amazing.
To take them to the next level.
Yeah.
Wow. I always tease everybody when, like, they always say, Pooba's like Jabot's on the bottom, Hilfiger on the top. I was like, dude, he's from like White Plains or Westchester or something like that. I used to ask the Pooba, I said, how'd you even know about all that? I said, you had to come downtown and see us in the circle, man. Because we were the first cats that were dressing and putting Low on, and Tommy and Guess, and, you North Face, you name it. We were styling beyond, because, that's what we did. And he said, yeah, he's just coming to the clubs, and see this, that, and the third. So I know our influence has been shining, but it hasn't been talked about from that standpoint. So I'm going to kind of try to tie it all together. It's called Body, Rock, and Soul. That's the name.
Rock and Soul.
Yeah, we're working on it as we speak. So yeah, and a lot of good people in there, a lot of good interviews, some people who aren't with us today, but hopefully, we can, shed light and, RIP it for them and get it out there for the people who aren't with us to this day, because it's crazy how many centuries are going by.
Yes, Thomas, just one.
Yeah. But I wish you all the best, though, with what you're doing in all your endeavors.
Thank you so much. And Peter, it is an honor to be sitting here interviewing you and asking these questions. I have learned a lot, even down to, like I said, I'm 28. I don't know every story that you just told me, but just imagining, it's like, wow, we needed you. So thank you for paving the way for me and other designers. And I know you said it was creative directing, dancing, like you've done it all. So you've paved the way for a whole generation of people.
Well, thank you so much. And I guess I'm hoping with the legacy that they're saying that I'm part of, created, or, been, doing my thing. I hope that it inspires,
Absolutely.
People like yourself and more to come. Because I think that's our job, is to leave, something behind.
Yeah.
To say, look, we paved the way, we opened the doors, it's time for you guys to jump on, take the baton,
go, yes,
and do your
run
thing.
with it.
And I'm seeing it, and I'm like, there's some real proud moments that, and again, I'm working with, young designers as we speak, like yourself. So, I live it, I breathe it, I talk it, I walk it. So, you can ask anybody. I'm always out here. I'm a phone call away, no Hollywood. Whatever you need, I'm gonna give that advice. Whatever attention you need for the brand, this, that, and the third. I'm just, I'm a call away.
Thank you.